Hello, this is Albie from the Quantum Leap podcast, and with me today is the director of this episode, Salvation or Bust. It's Silas Howard. How you doing, Silas?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Today we're doing the commentary for the Quantum Leap episode you directed. So, what are your first impressions when this comes on and you see that you did an episode of Quantum Leap?
Oh, it's just such an iconic show and really exciting to bring it into this day and coming out and revealing where he is in this world was really a fun challenge for the opening of the episode.
Did you direct this opening that became the end of the previous episode? And how does that work?
I just did the one where we pull out and we see where he is from the eye, which is kind of the language of the show. But he's carrying with him this information from, that he's learned about the memory that he's lost.
What was it like working with this actress?
Oh, she's phenomenal. She just really you can see she's like completely emotionally. She has to start at emotion 11, and also the cinematography. Anna just did such a beautiful job with this space. We set this room up. It was a bit of a last minute decision on the back lot to use this room, and then so she's phenomenal. She just comes in hot and brings him out into this world. This was fun to shoot too. Is his discovery of where he is.
That mountain was replaced, right? The background was replaced on that one.
Yeah. The beauty and challenge of the episode is we're on the Universal backlot, and it's like one of the most iconic sets to shoot on, backlot sets to shoot on. But there were many angles that we couldn't show, so we had to really work it out ahead of time. And this was all added. This backdrop.
Was that a crane shot? Is that how that works?
Yeah, we had a techno crane there that we used.
I'm thinking you guys shoot out of order because of the headquarters scenes and the backlot scenes, different days.
Yeah, definitely. A big part of the job is to remind each other where we're at in the episode and what emotion the person's bringing in, each actor's bringing into the scene. And here's a big moment of, her being encouraged to go and get him to remember them. It's a nice shift for her, and developing their relationships all at headquarters is part of this episode as well. Just those different dynamics.
Anna had said that she'd like to do a lot of close-ups.
Yeah.
What is your thought on the close-ups and the different angles?
Oh, I love the really tight profile. I think they can be so emotional, and Ernie's such a phenomenal actor. I think sometimes, we often think of the close up right in the eye line as the most emotional, but I feel like often, off to the side, you just feel more intimate. And this show does well with swinging from one person's very tight profile to the other. Yeah. And here we're just missing this one shot that Anna and I got to do. That was the overhead with the long shadows coming in. But this guy, he had such an iconic bad guy demeanor. He made it very easy.
We got to speak to him as well, and he was he really enjoyed doing this.
He was great. He was really it's a lot of like making a map with him of what kind of bad guy and where he's mad and where he's flustered and where he's in control. And here we're meeting all the characters that were going to be part of the town. So Frankie and so that was also the trick of this setup, is that, we needed to make sure that we seem like we're just looking at the background characters, but those are all main players in the episode.
I found it a really cool reveal with Leaper X being in the episode the whole time, but you don't really notice him until the end.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was the other thing, is to, show him, but not make it obvious, but make sure that he's in every time he's there, he's highlighted.
So was this your first Western?
Yeah, this was definitely. It's fun to play with genre because you can upend a lot of the expectations, right? So most of the Westerns are sort of, John Wayne, and mainly white guys fighting each other. And, so here showing a town of a diverse group of people, which is actually true of a lot of towns in the Western, was really fun to kind of push against all those narratives.
So much diversity in this episode. It's really an amazing job, I think.
Everybody, I think, brought a lot of personal experience to it. I think because it was bringing some different representation to an iconic genre, sort of Western shoot. It really, people brought a lot of their own, just brought a lot to it, you know.
Were there a lot of things shot that didn't really make the final cut?
Yeah, there were some shots for sure. It's just the nature of the beast. Yeah, just a few of the main one was that top down shot, I think, was the one. And then
wow, what a reveal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, you know, a lot of the rules of the show were interesting to try to figure out what, you know, what she could do and what she couldn't do, and the mechanics, but really the emotion is the most important thing with this episode, and that is him starting to remember her. And I think that's, for me, that was the heart of the episode, aside from the reveal at the end. The emotion's always what carries us through the plot. And but they, you know, I love that they have this emotional thing, but they also have the business of the work in front of them, and it just gives it a nice playful tone of, you know, and also that he's a pacifist, you know, so this conundrum of he's set up to you know, have this gunfight is a great problem to have at the top.
It is, as a pacifist. It's like, what do? You know, you don't want to betray your own morals, but you have a situation you're in. So part of the episode I like takes place right here and continues throughout the episode is almost like they're two school kids falling in love again, because they both now can know that they're together. So there's that kind of like awkward getting to know each other all over again.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Like, I know it's a show that has a lot of action, but I felt like I love two good actors just talking to each other, and with if they have this chemistry, which these two definitely do, and it was important. Like, really, we talked a lot about these shifts with them, and allowing, you know, some humor in the high stakes moments, like this moment right here. That was an improv where they did this whole like you know, this whole thing suits you. Yeah, that Western thing is working. And then, you know, here, this was, Anna pulled some great references of, you know, this iconic shot of, I mean, it's just like this set has been used for so many Westerns. It was fun to go and do our own spin. Yeah. So here, you know, we're getting a lot of the backstory of the town, but also the dynamic of Frankie and Valentina as sort of chosen family, and that, you know, everybody's, they have this history together, and they have this different kind of family structure. And then yeah, the water. That all of these are clues that play into, you know, they all play into things that come at the end. There's like this sort of, you know, 18 montage that comes up later that is building off of all of this information.
Oh. Yeah, is the having the water so dirty, is that like a callback to Back to the Future 3 or something, or I don't know?
Oh no, I don't know. It could be. I just more mean like the whiskey becomes part of it, and, you know.
Oh yeah, you get to direct Raymond Lee being drunk.
Oh yeah, it was really fun actually. He did a fun spit take with this whiskey shot, but I don't think it stayed in.
The idea of chosen family, that's important, especially with people that have been like marginalized from society for no fault of their own.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a way that Ray and Caitlin's characters find each other through this episode as well. So yeah. And yeah, that was a fun, nice top down shot of the guns. The challenge that will be set in front of him.
Does that take like a long time? You got to set up a whole rig to put the camera overhead like that?
And it's fairly quick, but we were moving fast. I think the harder stuff was like when we have the whole thing that comes up at the end with the fire and the, you know, the whole like
Yeah.
we'll get to that. This was fun in terms of the dynamic between the trio. It was really fun, like Mason's playfulness and humor. Yeah, it was nice to feel that again, chosen family a little bit at the headquarters as well, like the high stakes, but also the humor and the dynamic that they each have in the roles that they play.
What's it like work with Mason? They're amazing.
Oh, Mason's fabulous. All of them are just incredible. They're really generous. You know, you come in and you work a few days with the actors, and you know they think they really, yeah, they were really fun. We were filming in a 105-degree heat wave. It was an intense week to be on the back lot, but also we were on the back lot. It's the most famous Western set, and it's been in every Western movie, you know, Hollywood Western. And so I felt like we were really, you know, getting to bring our own sort of brand of Western to it, and onto a really iconic set. So it was really fun, and they were generous actors. So it was easy to do for sure.
And this little sub mystery here.
Yeah, this was interesting too because it brings Ernie's character, you know, like he has to make a decision on how he uses information, which is, you know, a big part of what he's brought on Nanrissa's, you know, I'm using their actor names now, but you know, her job is to do exactly what she does in this episode, is to find out background. But I like how they navigate it together and that he does it in his own way. You know, he's not trying to threaten her. Kind of, he finds his own way to handle the fact that they need to keep this open. They need to get Ben back.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have a moment on set when you're directing Ernie Hudson and you think to yourself, I'm directing a Ghostbuster. How did I get here?
There's many times like that. It's really, he was just such a delight though. Oh, and yeah, here too, there's this moment where, you know, there's a lot of information they have to get out. You know, it's a lot of information we need to know about the town and what's going on, but also it's them finding each other. So with this scene, you know, there's a moment when they see each other again. They have the same idea, you know, like he listens to her and it's like exactly the idea that he had in the saloon. So I think it was fun to play around with that so that the information doesn't take over the whole scene. There's a little bit of, you know, flirtation or stakes.
It was very well done in this episode. That was my favorite part of the episode, the little interaction between them each time that happened.
Yeah, good. Thank you. That's my favorite part too. I think it was fun to find those different moments so that they weren't playing the same moment over and over again. And especially when Marquise. We get to the scene of the gun practice. Yeah, there's Marquise.
Yeah, that was very hot and romantic, even though there was a gun involved, which is odd.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that they.
There you go.
Yeah, so
it's like the whole world is wanting him to be in a gunfight, even though he doesn't want to be in a gunfight.
Yeah. There's this idea of what the world is expecting you to do versus what you actually want to do that was played around with in this episode. And it's true of, you know, Marquise's character as well. There's this idea of, you know, how much control do we have over our destiny? You know, how much is predetermined and how much do we get to shape? It was a lot of like the thematics I think that this episode played with. Oh, and that was our nice little shadow shot that did stay in where designed this great shot where we're on his shadow and then you pull and rack focus to the gun. And these big wides were really fun. Playing the sky a lot and the idea of the Western.
Shadow shots like that, are they done with the actual sunlight or do you bring in big lights?
Yeah, point them? Yeah. God was our gaffer here. It was definitely sunlight dependent. We had to work around the timing of the sun. Actually, we had to schedule the whole shoot around the timing of the sun so that we weren't battling ourselves with too much direct light or having to silk
basically everything. Not the noon hours.
Yeah, or if they were the noon hours, it was specific scenes that we were shooting, specific shots. And this is where Anna really like timed everything. We went over it and acted it out and timed it out with the daylight hours quite extensively. This scene we talked about a lot because there's humor. I really thought they needed to, we needed a little moment of laughter between them. And but then to really feel that that flirtation and that hope, that she has. So there's a lot that they're playing with, in terms of, again, it's always the challenge of getting out information, but still keeping the objective of what the characters want, which here they just, they want connection, him to remember her. And when he doesn't, I think watching her cover, I think Caitlin did a great job with having that disappointment read on her face, but then being like, we've got work to do. She's going to soldier on regardless. But yeah, I love the dynamic they had.
Directing the scene where they're so close yet they can't touch.
Oh yeah, is that coming up? Yeah, that's coming up.
I think so. Yeah, she teaches him how to fire a gun. Is that here or later?
I think that's right after this.
Okay.
Yeah, here she's like, okay, you have quid pro quo. You have to do something for me. In the script, they describe this as the ghost moment, which is the pottery wheel with Patrick Swayze, and it was really like how to play with that tension. I mean, a lot of flirtation is about, the restriction or not being able to. Yeah, so right here, the sun hit. This was just like the sun hit her hand in a really amazing way. And then that's obviously an effect of her as a hologram. But I love this moment between them, her kind of whispering in his ear, and then of course it all just goes to hell. He's the worst shot ever.
Is there a second unit director that shoots little inserts like that, or do you do all of it?
We did all of these. I think they do have it for certain episodes, but I think we ended up doing all of them on our shoot. Yeah, and then here it's just like another whole, just playing that shot with the blowing the smoke up the gun. All of those like kind of rack focus were really fun to play with. And these scenes we talked about with we had 3 scenes that were very long in this conference room table. It's the first time we see the conference room. So each one we tried to have a mood. This was a standoff, where, we just had this slow move in on each of them, but Caitlin's just holding her own. She's being respectful, but she's giving nothing. She basically, she's killing her with kindness in a way. And it was fun to play with the tension of not being able to, come any closer,
Almost mirroring it like a duel from a Western episode.
Yeah, exactly. We were trying to just play with that. That her superpower was just this holding a formal presence, but giving nothing away. And seeing her mounting frustration. Yeah.
This is one of the best scenes, I think, in the episode as well.
Oh, good. Which one?
This one where they're talking. Yeah, Marquise is telling his backstory, the character's backstory.
Yeah, this is the one we talked about. That was we got to play around a little bit with his character's background, and that we don't necessarily know he's trans, but there is this talk about taking control of his destiny, from who he was born, how the world saw him, to how he was going to see himself and present himself in the world. And it really kind of is a nice thing to play off of Ray's character too, trying to be something he's not what people are seeing,
Their situations kind of mirroring each other.
Yeah. It's there's always a difference between being looked at and being seen, looked at is obviously a sort of voyeuristic, or you feel like an object, and being seen is this connection. And so, yeah, I think that this is a nice moment. for Ben's character to feel a connection.
Were you involved in the casting at all? The casting process at all? Does the television director get to choose any of that?
I recommended Marquise, and they already had him on their radar, so it was a nice combination. And he was just a slam dunk for in TV. Of course, it's the showrunners, the writer, the producers, everybody weighs in. But this was an easy one. But it's nice. They usually will take a recommendation.
That's good. This was a funny scene, cute scene.
Yeah.
Eddie Park here playing the town's barber doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, in this moment where Ben realizes that he speaks Cantonese. And then the father, having to do so much physical. He also, fun fact, was like a hip hop dancer in the 90s for this really big rapper that he pulled some videos up. It was really amazing. The actor who's playing the father here, he threw everything into it. He was paying attention to every little nuance, and which makes sense for his character, because if he can't. And we learn here that he lost his hearing by the dynamite blast when they're building the railroad. So we're getting a bit of history of the way the country was built, and we're sort of unraveling pieces that are going to become tools that they use in the end of the episode. So that was fun to know, like, what we were playing with. It was just, we had this very Western, playing with shadows, playing with long shadows, playing with a lot of sky and certain angles.
On episodes like this where there's night shoots and day shoots, do you have separate days for days and nights, or do you just shoot all day and shoot the night shoots at night and day?
Now you go into splits, so you kind of work your way. You start early, shoot all day, and then you start to work your way to evenings, so you can go further into the night. And so they just kind of like hopefully blend you in. But it was a lot to have this big fire and think of how we were going to show it and think of how much budget there is. And I think it came out pretty well in terms of the town and the stakes of the fire. And here again, they're becoming a family, and you see Frankie and Valentina and the way they're trying to hold on to what they've got.
Is there special concerns on set when there's fires and stunts and things like that?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of we have great safety people, and there's so much work goes into figuring out a flame and how close it is to anything that could be dangerous. And then you've got horses and if there's any sort of loud noise, there's a ton of so much thought. It really is, like, it goes by so quickly, but it's so much planning and choreography to capture it.
How many takes does it normally take on a shoot like this? How much are you allowed, and are you getting everything you want?
Usually you hope to get it in 3, and the actors, can get there. Sometimes there's something you just want to, either you want options, or it's a little bit trickier of a scene. You want to go more like 4 or 5. So I usually go in and give the actors room, and then go in with my series of questions and sort of push, what's the objective? Just try to connect it to character as much as possible, like what Ben's journey is and what. Oh yeah, so here we had another strategy for this conference room with Nanris. It was her idea, is to have it be a flirtation, actually, like a sort of like seduction flirtation, but a challenge, And yeah, there was a little bit at the end too that showed that more, that ended up being cut for time, but again, because we're just stuck in this long tabled room to have so the camera was also meant to be a little bit sharky, so a little bit moving around, kind of like a little menacing.
Are there still dolly shots, or is it like steady cam only, or how do you do with these?
Oh, this is on dolly, so we're dollying, so the camera's dollying and moving at the same time. So it might be the dolly's going this way and the camera's going here and then turning, and so that's kind of that back and forth. And then and sometimes it's on a it's on a jib where it can just go, across the table. Here he's playing drunk, and that, yeah. The fun thing about drunk is you should always, I think drunk people are trying to not be drunk. So that's usually my
Yeah.
only thing, is to, you're trying to cover it, trying to like. But I thought he did a really good job here with his uh, looseness that he had with it. He's got a good feel for comedic moments, and they're always a joy to have in the middle of a lot of high tension.
And this is handheld, looks like.
Yeah, this is handheld. This was a long night. We had a little race against time to get this scene, which was important. Again, emotionally, because this is, this level of frustration.
How is that shot
Um,
filmed?
that's really the visual effects at the end. We just give them the plates of the hand and the hand. I like the hovering even more when we don't see the hologram, but I think it's, they want to get the point across of this inability to touch. I was going to say, even here, there's clues about the whiskey being like drinking gasoline, alongside the emotion of them, trying to connect.
I noticed at the beginning of the scene, like you're pushing in on them. Is that to convey some kind of emotion or something we should feel?
Yeah, I think we try to get a little more like shallow depth of field, so we're just focused on their faces and shutting out the world, and yeah, a little move in as we get pressure. This is a one-hour shot, so this shot we did in just one single camera movement. We come in with them. It was a little tricky to coordinate, and we move back with them. We look down to what they see, the guns. We come back and finish. So that was just, they didn't have any coverage. That was just, probably we did like 7 takes of that in one shot, one camera movement.
Oh, wow. So they just do it again and again while you're filming?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you do it a little extra times because you're not giving cut points, but it was good. It was it's rare that you do oneers in TV, hardly ever, but this one was fine. Oh, just beautiful lighting by Anna and the team here with the moonlight and the guns being thrown down, and the challenge of that's set in front of him.
Were there any more extra precautions than normally would be, or any more thought considering things that happened on movies last year with the Western sets?
Absolutely, yeah. There was a lot of checking. Every gun was passed around to everybody and looked at. There's nothing in there. There's no bullet. Really intense, as it should be, security around that, and not even pointing. If it's not necessary. Um, yeah, really a lot of precaution.
That's good. He was great in this episode.
Yeah, the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here this was one take. He did it perfectly. That never happens. So when those guns landed, it was like, okay, we're moving on, because we were really up against it. We had lightning, so we were dead in the water for 30 minutes. Whenever lightning strikes, you have to wait 30 minutes for it to not happen again before you're cleared. So we were definitely up against it. So it was good he threw those guns down perfectly in one take. This is the scene that happened with the rain going on, where they're doing a bit of improv, and you'll see Caitlin start to realize what they have in front of them in terms of people's talents. And again, yeah, this is a fun collaborative moment of the blocking being decided together, and building this
Pretty much all the townspeople in one shot, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just adding a bit of improv while she goes around and points each person out.
Really, the beginning of the A-Team ending.
Yeah,
Almost.
yeah, and you can see, yeah, and it's kind of nice the way that they're having this conversation that nobody else is privy to, but in the middle of all the people. Oops, oh, that's my dog. Yeah, so this is the classic setup for sure. But by this time, this is like our last day. All the cast were really bonded as a town, which gave a nice. There's the nice rain shot behind Marquise.
Ah,
Rain in the middle of the heat wave we had to battle. But yeah, I like the chemistry of everyone here. It felt like they all cared about what they were doing. Actually, the actors and the story, the characters in the story had something to fight for, and something, a different kind of story to show.
we heard Raymond had the whole group laughing in this when they were shooting this.
Yeah, every time at the end, because it was like, "What are you gonna do?" And so he would just give them this really funny look. He definitely brings such a good energy to the set and keeps everybody spirits. Definitely the number one of the show is a huge influence on the vibe and the yeah. Yeah, and then this was another sort of strategy of really Mason trying to cover, in a way like they can't really lie, and they're sort of giving up this information here, and it was the strategy of just now we're much tighter. There's not this table between them. It's a much more closed in claustrophobic moment in which they're really unable to talk the way out of it.
Interesting. See, I never noticed that on prior viewings where they start out super far apart, and then with the character of Jen and the interviewer being closer, and then now they're really tight in like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just we shot these all probably on the same day, so it's a long time in that conference room to think about like how the progression is, how you can visually try to push that.
What were your? Do you have like major influences on your shooting style?
You just take it to the show. They have a language that they're used to, and then you pitch ideas. If you have like some shows, they don't ever do handheld, but maybe I'll ask if this one scene can be here. Anna and I just went through kind of like what is a way to keep it moving and exciting, but driven by character. Like,
Mm-hmm.
factually, we need the camera and the energy to be high, but like that can just seem random and annoying. So, what is it that the characters bring into the room that's going to dictate that? That's kind of how I approach it. It's always character based, so it really just changes with what the show needs and the character needs. But yeah, yeah,
What about filming these scenes, all the action at the end there?
and it was montages are fun. Like these shots were really dynamic and fun. They always take a long time, so they look like this on the page, but then they take quite a bit of time. But just to keep this, just have like a little. This is their coming together moment, and it was fun to lay out all the pieces and to keep it moving. Keep the camera moving between everything to give us the geography of the plan and have it look. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, there's a lot of pieces you shoot out of order, so then you really have to map it out. We did storyboards for a lot of this stuff, just to make sure we had all the shots.
Are you involved in the editing with the editor, or you just pretty much hand it off to the editing team?
Oh no, I get to edit. You edit for 3 or 4 days, sometimes more, and then the showrunner gets it after you. But you get to have a time that's all your own with it, and you get to usually you do give them exactly the script. Sometimes you ask to cut a few lines of dialogue if the show's open to it. But yeah, that is the fun part is you get to just put in all your ideas that maybe some will stay in, maybe some won't. It really depends.
So you get to do a director's cut.
Yeah, yeah, you do. And actually, the union dictates that no one can look at it until you hand it in. This was fun to get these really tight, super close ups instead of punching in like having a lens that was really really tight on their eyes to do this super classic standoff. Uh, and also because it was windy, so the fires couldn't be as high. So how to fake out this fire? This was a real bit of a Megillah to get to feel viable. Everything had to happen almost simultaneously. and we could, only show so much. I love this shot. And then, yeah. So they enhanced it a little bit, but, it really had to be like smoke, flames, the firecrackers sound like guns, and then here shooting through the flames just enough. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of choreography here.
Stunt work, even, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stunt stuff. And then the you're trying to figure out what is happening, like in every shot, like what is the thing that they're doing, what is the gas, what does it do for them. Yeah. But yeah, it was it's fun to shoot all those pieces which take forever, and then imagine them like layered on top of each other so that it feels like it's actually viable, that they would be penned in.
How close was the final episode to what you envisioned in your head when you were reading the script?
Real close. I think just a few shots, like I said, some of those classic Western shots that we lost was a little bit, and we had one where he runs into the cage that maybe was a little more of a reveal, but otherwise it's pretty close to it. Yeah, I think this moment where, to me, he's not threatening her. He really is trying to convince her that she could go and undo the biggest mistake, the biggest regret of her life, and get her brother back. I think that's the closeness. So it really is off of Ernie, reluctantly using this piece of information, but doing it with some compassion, and for her to take in the information. It's a lot. She does such a great job with having to play such a turn.
I love how you think Ernie is going to blackmail her with this information just for a second, and then it's revealed that, of course, not. Yeah, that was done well.
Yeah, so just a lot of this plays on, his appealing to her humanity and meaning it. I think he really does. He believes in what they're doing, and that, he knows they can't do that just yet. So he is buying time, but I think he's not. He's taken a different road to dealing with the threat. And again, we just talked about the motivations, and like when you believe in things and you are skeptical, and I think her character, does want to believe in it, and she's hard on it because she's thinking that they're wasting money. When he appeals to her hope, then she off screen makes that decision to, give it a shot.
We learned so much about character magic, I think, here, of like what quality a person he is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The emotion of the character's connection to what they're doing is, and he brings that out so beautifully.
Do you know if there was any talk of this storyline ever continuing in the future?
Yeah, no, it seemed like it could, but I think they were still waiting for their back order, which they now have.
Yeah, but and the second season as well.
Yeah. Oh, they got their second season, right?
Yep. Really great. They were renewed early, so that's always fun. Her eyes are beautiful, and the lighting, how it just like reflects off her eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, she's pretty warm here. I think there's a lot between that look and her coming down. I think she wants to believe. Oh no, he's such a warm actor. I think it's hard to resist his charms. Yeah, and here's the big scene with the town coming together. There was a lot more. This was a lot longer scene, and this got cut short, which is always amazing because and it's the case in every show. You always have a little bit of extra, and you never know what the extra is going to be.
Was there any ever talk of having extended episodes for streaming or anything like that you know of?
I don't know. I think, it's pretty rare. But yeah.
I like how he has to figure all this stuff out at the end about the telephone and the copper. And then we're all settled back and no, that was a great episode and it's over. And then bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. And I think this moment between them is pretty sweet too, where they're about to kiss, even though they can't. It's a nice way to enter into the cliffhanger.
The hottest part of the kiss is right before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the heart of the episode, is this, longing between them to this moment. Yeah, this really stole the moment from them.
Yeah. And it was also the reveal that everyone was talking about after.
Yeah. I mean,
all these people are so beautiful. I guess it's Hollywood, right? That's how that works.
I know it's a good looking town, Salvation. Worth saving. Yeah.
I actually looked it up on the map when I saw this episode. I was like, I'd like to go there, but I couldn't find it.
Is it? Don't tell me it's not real.
So what'll be your big takeaway from being the director of this episode, Salvation or Bust, of Quantum Leap?
Oh, I think a big takeaway from Salvation or Bust is just sort of going back in time and like rediscovering all these stories, all these lost stories that we never had access to. And they feel so, they feel like they resonate today, and that it was, mirroring a lot of what Ben's journey was, to find home, to find his way back home, to create home. And then it's just got a classic A-Team montage, which you you gotta have one of those if you're lucky as a director. So yeah, that was a fun takeaway too, the ambush.
Silas Howard, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.